And so is this. But as you can see, it's not like the ones most of us put on every day when we drive. It's called a racing harness, and it's used by drivers who like putting their foot down in their own car on a track day at a racing circuit. It provides extra safety for the demands of fast driving. Thousands of these are sold every year, and they're not cheap. But as you might have guessed, this one isn't going to keep anyone safe. It's a fake. This is a track day. It's where anyone can drive their own car to its limits, experiencing the thrill of whizzing around a circuit like a Formula One pro. And they're becoming increasingly popular. Over 10,000 drivers a year now turn up to days like this one to enjoy the thrill of speeding faster than is allowed on a public highway. Ed Moore is the race director at this circuit at Castle Combe in Wiltshire.
We have builders, farmers, accountants, city traders, all sorts of people. And it's a chance for them to stretch the legs of their road-based cars in the right way.
Many drivers customise their road cars and add safety features, of which one of the most crucial is the safety harness.
You can get the odd incident where people make a mistake, but if they've got the right equipment, the right seat, and a good harness, then there's a very strong chance that they're going to be perfectly okay. Just hurt pride.
Les Burdett is an accountant from Bristol. He got into track racing 5 years ago. Les reaches speeds of well over 100 miles an hour. And at that lick, it's no surprise that accidents, like this near miss just in front of Les, do happen.
I've had spins. We all have spins occasionally. I have seen cars in the barriers. That's probably the nightmare for any track driver.
Because of the risk of a crash, drivers need to be properly protected. So, Les has installed all the safety gear that he needs.
This is my 4-point harness. The bottom section does up across the lap. The shoulder straps clip into the top. That holds you back into the seat, and if I was unfortunate and had an impact, I'm not going anywhere. It's very, very safe.
Les bought a genuine belt that will keep him safe. But there are fake harnesses for sale, designed to look exactly like the genuine ones. Buy a fake harness and your safety in a car crash might not be guaranteed. Gareth Slay is director of GSM Performance, which specialises in harnesses and other motorsport safety gear.
Fake equipment has become a problem. There's a lot of auction sites that do sell these at very, very good prices. They're very good because they're probably not real in most cases, and we've seen a lot of them on there.
Genuine harnesses are carefully designed, built and tested to ensure they'll protect the driver in a high-speed crash. With the fakes, looks can be deceptive.
There's only a handful of key manufacturers in this industry, and generally these companies have been doing it for 40, 50 years and constantly developing them to ensure that they're as safe as they can be, whereas the companies that are making the fakes try to make them look similar but not really function the same. So it may look fantastic, but the functionality within the fixings and the buckles are what's failing, and that's the critical part of the belt.
One of the main brands being faked is called Takata.
So we've got two different Takata belts here, the genuine one and we've got a fake one. Well, for a start, the belt buckle. The fixings are completely different. They've essentially used a metal mounting point into the back of the buckle, whereas the genuine Takata actually uses the webbing which goes through the back of it. The next obvious difference is the spreader plate. So this material and the load spreading is to distribute the weight evenly across your waist. They've not even put that on this one.
Without a load spreader in a high-speed crash, the fake seatbelt could cut into the driver's abdomen, causing serious internal injuries.
The actual bolting points to the vehicle, I've used a metal end with sort of a plastic coating over some steel. The bolt points on the genuine one are just a much better design. The webbing's been folded correctly to give it more strength.
If the harness is not securely fixed to the car, there's every chance that the force of a crash could cause it to give way. Back at the circuit, Ed Moore's concerned about fake harnesses making their way into cars here.
If you're wearing a harness which is going to break suddenly, then you can move a lot in the car. You can whack your head on the steering wheel. You could break your neck, break your arms, legs. Doesn't bear thinking about.
It's Trading Standards Officer Roger Edmonds' job to ensure the public's protected from dangerous products. So, when he heard that large quantities of suspected fake racing harnesses were being sold online, he was concerned.
One of the UK approved dealers contacted us and told us that he thought that somebody in our area was actually selling these fake harnesses. They had some concern that they'd seen them being sold on eBay.
The retailer was selling harnesses from top brands including Takata, Sparco and Sabel. The first step was to establish whether the harnesses being sold were actually fake. So, the team bought one of each brand and examined them.
It was very difficult on just visual inspection to tell whether the harnesses were fake or not. They had the test logo stitched into them as if they'd been tested by an accredited test house, and the general appearance and quality of the product looked very good, to be honest.
The fake safety label could easily have fooled a member of the public into thinking this harness was safe. But Trading Standards wanted to see how the fake harness would perform in the event of a serious accident. So, they tested it by simulating a car crash at 50 miles an hour.
A crash test dummy, which was used in the harness in an impact situation, broke down completely under test, with the total obliteration basically of the crash test dummy.
This is the crucial moment when the racing harness mounting points fail catastrophically.
The implication for use by a human being was obvious.
Roger knew he had to take the trader out of operation before any dangerous fake harnesses could find their way into cars of unsuspecting drivers.
Obviously our immediate cause for concern was how many had been sold and the horrific nature of the implication if these had been used and an accident had occurred.
Roger got a warrant and raided the seller's property.
And when we got there we found 2 or 3 harnesses and computer and phone evidence that he had actually been selling them in a widespread way. And unfortunately we found that he was selling not just in the UK but in mainland Europe as well.
Thanks to the evidence seized, the seller is now facing a criminal prosecution. But Trading Standards has no idea how many dangerous fake harnesses have been sold.
Our great concern is that there are some still out there where people could be using them in rallies and they do have an impact and these products would break down, and we're trying our very best to get them recovered.
Fake Britain wanted to find out what experienced drivers like Les Burdett made of the fake harness test.
Oh my God, is that really something that somebody was selling? That's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. It just breaks away at the bottom and then strangles the guy. That is unbelievable. So you can imagine that a broken neck is probably going to be the least of your worries in that sort of accident.
Driving at speed with a fake harness would be much like being a skydiver with a 40 parachute. It would be that serious.
In 2015, Australia's automotive industry demonstrated the serious safety risks associated with imitation parts.
The whole industry is concerned about genuine parts being substituted for non-genuine parts. It's a very, very important issue, not just for the industry, but for every single person who drives or is a passenger in a car in Australia. It's a matter of public safety, and we've cooperated with Holden and the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries to be able to demonstrate to you the sort of danger that you face when you fit non-genuine parts.
Imitation wheels were bought through an Australian-based online store. It's as easy as that. Anyone can do it, and anyone can be misled.
It's almost impossible to spot the difference from the front, right? Genuine, fake. It's very hard to tell. It looks the same. It's only when you actually turn it around and look at the identifying marks on the back of the wheel that you can see what's the real deal and what's fake. When you look at the back of the wheel, see here, it says made in Germany, but they've actually ground off Germany, not all of it, haven't done a very good job. Here, there was the three-pointed star on the part number, they've ground that off. The only way you can tell this wheel from the rear is by that.
The test took place at Holden's Proving Ground at Lang Lang. The Proving Ground features specially calibrated potholes which replicate the types of conditions motorists can find on Australian roads.
We're going to put the two wheels you saw before through the pothole test to see how the genuine wheel performs and how the non-genuine part performs as well.
In the pothole test, the front wheel is exposed to the maximum impact force, and it's only the right side of the vehicle which hits the pothole. For this reason, the test concentrated on the front right wheel. The imitation wheels have been identified with orange tape and the genuine wheels marked by green tape. At just 50 kilometres an hour, when the impact occurs between the spokes, high-speed cameras capture a section of the fake wheel cracking and breaking away. Running the test at the same speed and with the impact occurring at the spoke, the fake wheel breaks again. Now, the genuine wheels. The same test at the same speed. There is no damage when the impact point is at the spoke. When the impact occurs between the spokes, the genuine wheel again is undamaged.
50 kilometres per hour is a real world speed, and you can see people coming across that situation in the real life and breaking away a piece of rim, which is, not only dangerous for the people in the car, but for people standing on the side of the road as well, from how far the piece flew that we saw. Based on those sorts of results, I wouldn't want to be putting those rims on my car, definitely not.
We've just done the pothole test using the genuine wheel and the fake wheel. The genuine wheel has come through unscathed. The fake wheel has broken apart and this piece has come away from it. Pothole test, hugely successful. We showed just how unsafe fake wheels are. Genuine is best. There's no way I'd be putting my mates in a car with fake wheels. It's just not worth the risk.
In what is known as the spare parts city of China, machines churn out car parts.
These are probably camshaft tensioners. They're very expensive. They're also quite crucial because if the tensioner breaks, the engine will probably overheat, and there's a risk that it will actually end in a burning engine.
But these parts are fake, and the small factory in Wenzhou that makes them is one of many on the front lines of the fight against counterfeits in China.
These were seized in Zhengzhou recently.
Alex Theo worked as director of Asia Pacific investigations at General Motors before he founded an investigations firm called Harvest Moon. He spent years watching Western firms waste money on anti-counterfeiting raids.
They do one brand today and another brand the other day. The more volume, the more counterfeits. So you will probably find more Volkswagen parts than you find Rolls-Royce parts.
An Associated Press investigation has uncovered widespread investigative fraud in China, involving counterfeit auto parts, medicine, personal care products, and electrical components. In some instances, Western firms unwittingly paid investigators who themselves manufactured or sold counterfeit goods. In other cases, information about raids was fabricated. Some investigators were suspected of taking money to protect the very counterfeiters brands were paying them to fight.
So the whole structure starts turning itself around on its head when we who are supposed to be the good guys helping the brands actually harm them more than we do any good.
Numbers say the U.S. is losing the fight against fakes, especially dangerous ones. Among the 585,000 counterfeit parts seized in the last 5 years are counterfeit airbags, which not only fail to deploy, but also burst into flames and sent shrapnel towards the driver's face.
We've seen counterfeit tires, we've seen counterfeit oil filters, we've seen counterfeit windshields of all things. Again, some of the more dangerous parts, such as airbags, such as brake parts, brake pads, those are extremely, extremely dangerous.
Seized counterfeits often end up in warehouses like this one in New Jersey under the supervision of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Here, officers spend days going through thousands of boxes.
The sheer volume is overwhelming.
Everything from clothes to shoes to electronics ends up being flagged.
This entire bag is filled with Michael Kors trademark emblems, so they're going to rip this off and put this on.
Despite their efforts, officers say they've watched seizures of dangerous consumer products rise and the quality of the counterfeits improve. Bob McCall, Associated Press.